Welcome to OneTake Weekly. Adam, what do you think of that name I just
You
came
sure
up
you want
with?
to call it that?
Yeah.
It's a big commitment right there.
I'd say I knew it. So
Yeah.
we hit go live earlier. I thought we went live and we didn't, and we already had this exchange. And when I asked Adam, what do you think of OneTake Weekly? He's like, it's a good name. I like the alliteration where it's like not technically the same letter,
Mhm.
but it sounds like one and week.
Week.
But then I figured after the stream, he's gonna be like, "Yo, you shouldn't commit to stuff like that."
Yeah.
People, my brothers hate when I commit to stuff.
Because the problem is he always follows through and he ends up working too much.
Exactly. But I think 2 weeks in a row, you can call that weekly. But what are we doing here today? So, as promised a few weeks ago, we're between Better Call Saul season halves. And we figured in between seasons, let's continue to go live. And if you're not a Better Call Saul viewer, don't worry. That will not be the primary topic of conversation tonight. I mean, just take a look at the title. Let's talk about other stuff again, because we did it last week and it was great. In case you're new here, I'm Gil. I'm here with my brother Adam
Hello.
and my tech guy / brother Alon.
Hey.
And before anybody wants to blame Alon for us starting late due to technical difficulties, A, he's under the weather.
Yeah, leave me alone.
And B, I knew we were in trouble because I turned the computer on and it said, we highly recommend you update to Windows 11. And I was like, no, we're good. We don't want to update. And then it said, we highly recommend you update to the latest version of Adobe Flash.
That's considered not even safe or secure anymore.
Yeah, I haven't. That must be a holdover from like 3
Yeah.
years ago. Because Flash is dead now, right?
Yeah.
We actually had our start in. Anyone here familiar with Flash animation or Flash games like Newgrounds?
Newgrounds, yeah.
That was where we got our start. We used to have a website.
Yeah, you might remember our old website, immenseflash.com.
Wasn't it .net? I could swear.
immense-flash.com.
That's right. I knew the domain was lame in one regard, and it wasn't that it was net instead of com. It was that it had a dash in the middle. How would your mind be blown if someone was like immenseflash.com? I used to love that
I would
site.
think they're lying unless they gave proof.
So I tried to tell my friends about that website back in elementary school. I was like, my brother's made this cool website with all these games and animations. And I remember I told my friend Connor.
Yeah.
I didn't say the full name. I think it's okay. I was like, go to immense-flash.com. And the next day, I asked if he checked it out, and he said his mom wouldn't let him go to the website because flashing is inappropriate.
I do remember actually. You all might know. Some of you might know Cyanide and Happiness, a pretty popular. What would you call it? A webcomic. A webcomic. Yeah. They have a board game based on it. It's a pretty sizable franchise considering what it is. But the people who work on Cyanide and Happiness, we used to be AOL Instant Messenger buddies with them.
That's right.
We were colleagues because they had an animation website on Flash. We had one. We used to chat. One of them was actually going to do a voice in one of my videos, and he ended up dropping out for various reasons.
You know, I heard them talking on their podcast the other day about how they almost got to work with the OneTake.
We had a few kind of brushes with people that went on to bigger things back in the day. So we had Cyanide and Happiness. There's a website that's still very popular, onrpg.com, which is dedicated to, I think, MMORPGs. And when Guild Wars came out years ago, I was so hyped for that game. And at one point, they reached out to me because I started a fan site. And we almost had a collaboration where I was going to be the Guild Wars guy for onrpg.com. It might have been on-RPG. No, it was with all the dashes back then. By the way, in the chat, I saw a question here. Natasha, what happened to the Spider-Man videos? There actually are some more Spider-Man videos in the hopper. So they'll be coming soon.
In the old web shooter.
That's right. That's right. KFP, Gil has experience with celebrity. It's actually the thumbnail to this video was the moment where I caught myself last week where I was telling a story. I was trying to relate to somebody in the chat talking to us. And so the way I started the story was, I was talking to a celebrity once. We're not celebrities. Yeah. I'm not saying we're celebrities. Silky Bananas. Hello. Welcome to the chat. I remember Silky Bananas. I haven't seen you. Silky's Bananas. Haven't seen you here in a while. We should type that into Dolly.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But before we started the stream tonight, I kept warning everybody. And actually, I was going to start by saying we haven't seen the Barry season finale yet. But now we have seen the Barry season finale. And I thought it was pretty good. Alon, what'd you think of the Barry season finale?
Not bad. Maybe the best episode of this season.
It was the best episode I've seen this season, but I only watched the season premiere and then that one.
Yeah, that's right. Adam has it. We've gone over this many times, but Adam has a very, very low tolerance. If he even sniffs, wait a minute, there may be a drop in quality, or maybe something about the character of the show is changing. That's not for me. I don't want to get my heart broken. So he walked away.
Yeah.
And we brought him back for the finale. And I think safe to say you're on board for season 4.
I'll check it out. I'll watch the first episode.
No, that is not safe to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, Starburst. Oh, so technical difficulties was code for watching the Barry season finale.
Actually, it was code for, as to someone else's suggestion, this whole stream is powered by the GameCube that you see behind us.
Yeah, that's
that
right.
way.
Yeah, right there. It's very
So,
confusing here. There we go.
yeah,
that
it's a
GameCube
weird
right
mirror
there.
image
We had
thing.
to get the LAN attachment.
yeah.
And so yeah, I thought the Barry finale was great. If you heard us talking last week, and don't worry for anyone who hasn't seen it, I'm not going to spoil anything about it. If you heard our whole thing about Barry last week, all of us were feeling a little iffy about this season. And I think that's just because the comedy of the show, comedy is probably one of the most subjective elements of storytelling, I think. And it's actually one element of storytelling I haven't thought that much about. So the comedy on Barry, I would say 80% of the time doesn't work for me. Early on, it did, because I think there's something so clever about Barry being an ex-hitman who decides to go into an acting career. And for example, when he's giving a monologue about his time as a Marine, and it's really heartfelt, and people think he's playing a character, those scenes are pretty hilarious to me. But then you get, so earlier in the premiere, actually, of this season, before we watched the premiere, that same weekend, we watched the new Nicolas Cage movie, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. And okay, we had a few good things to say about it, probably more bad than good.
I was pretty amped for it. Like before I saw it, I thought from the trailer it looked kind of dumb.
Yeah.
But I still thought I would like it more than I did.
Yeah. And then here's an example of the types of jokes in that movie that didn't land for us. There's one scene where there are a couple of gangsters eating cereal.
That's the joke.
That's the joke.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you wouldn't expect to see, cartel leaders. Like, imagine Tuco Salamanca sitting down for a bowl of Cheerios.
I could see that.
I could actually see that being pretty funny.
He's not like super serious. Like,
but it just seemed like it kept going back to that same well of, isn't it funny that they're doing something ordinary? And we kind of rolled our eyes at that. And then the next day we're watching Barry, and there's a scene where, again, someone's like in hiding and they start eating some cereal.
It was like Lucky Charms, sort of.
And then Alon and I look at each other, and he's like, at least they're not drawing attention to it. And then somebody walks in like, hey, sorry, we're all out of the Honey Crisp, but did you want to eat some of this? And so it's the same joke twice in a row. So anyway, we didn't really laugh at that. And I feel like there's a lot of comedy that's of the same ilk this season, which just didn't work for me. This latest episode, the finale, had very little comedy in it.
Which is, the show is stronger when they use less comedy, which is interesting because the showrunners, Bill Hader and Alec Berg, are like mostly do comedy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And Bill Hader, I thought, killed it this episode. There was one particular scene I have in mind where he did a great job. And again, no spoilers. So if you've seen it, you'll know what I'm talking about. But this episode portrayed something that is often seen in thrillers, but usually shown very quickly. And this one really took its time in a way that worked for me. That's probably too vague, right?
I mean, it was like there was some violence that was very drawn out in a realistic and interesting way, almost in a Breaking Bad-esque way, where they're not skipping over process.
Right. There you go. I think you made it specific enough. Continuing our trend of using Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul as a comparison point anytime we're talking about why something is good. But I thought about that last week. I was thinking, we don't watch enough stuff, or at least I feel like I want to get out in the world and watch more things, especially some of the current stuff that people say is amazing. And one of the ones I've heard most consistently, probably, Succession. And I finally watched the first 2 episodes of Succession. And I'll say, my fear going in the kind of trepidation I had about whether or not I'm going to like this show is I've heard that it has very unlikable characters, which that's the trend now, is that so many shows focus on people doing horrible things. And if there's no, and from what I've heard, Succession just marinates in that. It's just all these characters who are super selfish, out for themselves, doing awful things. And I would say going in, when I actually watched the episode, that generally was the case. You don't see a lot of people doing things that would endear you to them, but I couldn't look away. And it got me thinking, do characters need to be likable? And what would you even say to that? In a story in general, do you think characters need to be likable?
Not necessarily, but there must be something likable about what you're watching. If it's not the characters, there needs to be something else that you enjoy about it, or else it's pretty, like, why would you keep watching then?
Right. There at least needs to be something that's interesting, something that grabs your attention.
Yeah.
And in terms of the characters, I still think you need to empathize with them.
Mhm.
You still need to understand what they're trying to achieve, a little bit of why they're doing it, and be able to feel a little bit of what they're feeling. And there definitely is a barrier if you don't like the characters. But on Succession, I feel like part of the way they get past that barrier is they crank the tension way up. Every scene, you know what at least one of the characters wants, and you know that the other person in the room is going to get in their way.
Mhm.
And and they're talking, and you know they're manipulating each other, and you're just so uncomfortable waiting for the moment of one of them pushing for, here's the thing I really want.
Well, that's what I liked about Game of Thrones seasons 1 through 4 was the conversation. Like, the conversations people were having were very high stakes and full of tension and a lot of subtext and threats and manipulation. And there were people you were really rooting for because you felt that they were actually virtuous, good people who were trying to make the world less horrible.
Right. And which show are you talking about right now?
I don't like to talk about it.
Okay. I got distracted because
Game of Thrones.
Yeah, there you go. Our tech guy was doing a little bit of work in the background. But yeah, exactly. And I think someone in the chat here, Lieutenant Dirk, says Jimmy is the perfect mix. Yeah, part of the way that Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad pull off this trick is they start the characters in a place where they're doing some bad things, but they don't go over the top right away. So from the beginning, you start off on their side.
Yeah.
Like Walter White in Breaking Bad is kind of the underdog at first. And when he starts to take control of his life, those little steps, you're like, yeah, he should beat up the kid who's making fun of his son. You're with him, and they kind of slowly crank things up. But shows like Ozark and Succession, they kind of start at the end of the Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul journey. These characters
harder to
are
root for them.
Yeah, they're already kind of scumbags. And I'm only 2 episodes in, and I won't say that I'm thinking all the characters are horrible, disgusting people. The jury's still out on some of them, but in general, you're just not seeing a lot of good. And the show definitely goes out of its way to show you how they're pretty terrible in some ways. The one other thing I'll mention is that one way a show can get your attention, or a character can get your attention, is showing you something you're not used to seeing. So Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad, most of us in this chat room here, I assume, I won't say everyone, most of us probably don't deal with the cartel on a daily basis, or at least not the inner workings of the cartel, where people's lives are in your hands. And with these shows giving us a little peek behind that curtain, that gets your attention.
Yeah.
And Succession does the same thing. It's not mobsters, but it's very, very rich people that are dealing with a lot of money and a lot of power. So that's one of the things that gets you watching. Anyway, so I know neither of you guys have seen Succession. So this is it's like a late night talk show where the guy starts with monologues with the audience.
Yeah.
Who here has seen Succession? Nobody? All right. Well, let me tell you about it. Episodes that came out years ago. Okay, but here's something that, I was going to say we've all seen, but I guess I'm the only one who saw this one too.
It was a busy week.
Yeah. Who here in the chat saw Top Gun Maverick? Anybody? Oh, you saw the first Top Gun at least, right? Why don't you give your thoughts on the first Top? No, I'm just kidding. We don't need to review a movie from 30 years ago. So I'll just say Top Gun I thought was awesome. I realized that there are some points that even though you haven't seen the movie, I think you can relate on.
Yeah.
But I think some people might be surprised at how much I liked Top Gun Maverick. Even in the Discord, somebody, I mentioned, hey, I'm seeing Top Gun tonight. Anyone seen it yet? Nobody answered. 12 hours later, I come back and I say, update. I saw it. It was awesome. And the only reply I got was, I find that hard to believe. And I do too, because it's super mainstream.
That was me, but no.
Oh, that was you, yeah. Big blockbuster movie. But what I realized is that I haven't seen a big blockbuster in a long time where it's this simple, where it's a pretty grounded, no pun intended, because Top Gun is anything but grounded, right? Flying around in jets. And I just haven't seen a big blockbuster like this in a while where it's fairly grounded. There are just characters we care about, a lot of dramatic weight, and the odds are against them. Pretty simple story.
I love when the odds are against people. Like that's one of the things I love most about the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yeah.
When something feels high stakes and insurmountable,
right,
that's so entertaining.
But the other part of that is restrained, where it doesn't feel like just anything can happen at any moment. Because I think of you were with me when we saw Doctor Strange 2, right?
It was just bounce. It was the most frenetic.
Yeah, I would say frenetic. Yeah, it opens up with a giant tentacle monster fighting a couple characters we don't know, and that's just pure spectacle.
Yeah.
You don't know these characters, you don't know the context of what's going on, and I think
it's the same problem that The Hobbit has.
Yes, which I haven't seen, but from what I've heard,
I only saw the first two, but
yeah, but
just bouncing from thing to thing without any sense of groundedness or stakes,
right?
No part of you was like, oh, this might not actually go well. Like,
yeah, exactly. So the only way that's going to be entertaining is if you're purely blown away by the visuals. And I think 20 years ago, I would have been. But after seeing so many giant CGI monsters, so many CGI battles, this stuff will never win me over on the pure spectacle level. No Way Home really worked for me, but it had so much going for it in terms of the nostalgia.
That was the biggest thing.
That was an example where the humor did actually work for me. So Top Gun Maverick is way simpler than a movie like Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. And it's like, for me to sit here and say why it's great would just be me telling you the very simple way to make a great movie. Give us some characters we care about, put some dramatic weight in there, some conflict between the characters, but not so much that it's annoying, and then seemingly insurmountable
don't let
odds.
the conflict be driven by a misunderstanding. That's one of my biggest movie pet peeves.
Right. When it feels like everything could be resolved with 3 seconds. Oh, no, wait. What I meant was this.
Yeah.
Or what you don't know about is that. Oh, you should have just said that. But the script won't let you, so we can be mad at each other. So this movie didn't do any of that. That was one of the things I kept noticing while I was watching, is that there were conflicts between the characters, and I bought all of them. At no point was I like, and I could see both sides of it. So it was frustrating enough where you want them to get past it, but not frustrating in a script sense of, I'm not buying this. So yeah, I love Top Gun Maverick. I think you should see it. I think you'll enjoy it.
I think I will.
All right, now let's go to a topic I think you'll have a lot to say about. One of the videos I've been working on that I mentioned last week is a Blade Runner video. So I decided to work on that a couple of weeks ago. Just wanted to do an analysis of the movie, the themes, kind of my interpretation of it. And then I just saw in a happy coincidence that we are fast approaching the 40th anniversary of the original Blade Runner's release, June 25th. And one of the biggest questions in that movie is AI, or non-humans that are engineered by humans. Are they sentient? Should we care about them, or should we just use them for our own ends, toss them out like yesterday's trash? That's your thing. Yeah.
I'm with you.
So, but that also ended up being a pretty hot topic, because Lambda, is it sentient?
So for the folks at
Tell
home,
the folks at home.
Okay, have you seen the movie AI starring Haley Joel Osment? This is for the people at home.
Yeah, let's wait for an answer.
Now you okay? So if you remember that movie, now you know what an AI is.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking computers that know things and understand, and potentially can achieve sentience,
right?
Where they actually have their own inner life and experiences, right? Just like I assume you do.
Right, you can't know for sure. What's that called? Solipsism?
Yeah. There's always a chance that I am the only conscious thing in the world, because like, it's, how do you prove that you're more than just a very advanced robot. Basically,
you're ruining a lot of people's days right now. They're like, wait a minute, he's right.
Yeah,
what's the point?
Exactly.
Right, because I think, therefore I am. I know I'm thinking, but how do I know he's thinking?
Dude, I would not want to be a figment of Adam's imagination.
Yeah, the fact that you're not more disturbing and kind of messed up is proof that you're not a figment of my imagination.
Whoever in the comment and in the chats said that you seem like the kind of person who thinks everything revolves around them.
They weren't wrong.
Yeah, that was a little bit on me though, because I was like, Adam, why don't you tell us what solipsism is?
Because I'm the expert.
Right. So apparently the robot uprising. And by the way, I want to respond. Apolock, I see your comment there about Top Gun Maverick. I'm going to go back to that for 1 second. There was tension in that movie that came from a quote unquote misunderstanding. But I thought they justified it, because there is one of those things where it's, well, why doesn't he just say blank? But I thought they justified why he wouldn't say blank and why saying it would actually be potentially even messier. So I bought into it.
I'm not blanket against all misunderstandings. I'm against misunderstandings that happen as just as a random chance, and not because one person knows, okay, well, if I correct it or if I say this thing, then I'm revealing some truth that I'm not allowed to say or something like that.
Right. Like Wilder Napalm. When Wilder didn't see the fourth love note from Vita, I thought that was a good example.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I mean, it was believable. They were written and left outside where the wind could get them. And
yeah, I mainly wanted to bring up that example because I'm assuming very few people will get the reference. And if you don't, you should check out the OneTake podcast where we talked about that movie.
It's Vince Gilligan's first ever film.
That's right. The first movie he wrote that got produced, feature film. And by the way, twist ending, it turns out we are all a part of DJ Scandalous's imagination.
I always suspected.
I'm the only thing alive in the universe, not you.
Right, but so that does get to an interesting question, which is, if I can't even be sure that other humans aren't just like video game NPCs, you know?
Right.
How am I ever supposed to believe that an artificial intelligence that I'm just typing and chatting with, or like that stranger I met in the AOL instant messaging, chat room, how are you supposed to know that whether or not they're a real thing and have feelings and potentially even deserve rights or something? Does it mean, if we have a really advanced AI that I can talk to, is it mean for me to insult it, or is it the same as insulting, this glass, which presumably doesn't have emotions?
Right. And the reason we're talking about all this is not just because of Blade Runner, but I don't know if you've all seen the headlines, but an engineer at Google, a whistleblower, at least I think he thought he was a whistleblower. He blew the whistle, and then we're all like, stop it. What are you doing? But he basically came out and said that the artificial intelligence that Google created is sentient. And he posted a whole transcript of him talking to the AI. And it is pretty interesting to see this transcript. At minimum, it says they've developed a pretty good AI chat software. But Adam, do you think Lambda is sentient?
Well, one of the things Lambda kept saying was subscribe to OneTake. And so, yeah, I think you have to be a pretty sensible human being or sensible person to say such a thing.
It is funny when you use the example of insulting this glass here. I did see someone say, one way you could poke a hole in the transcript of Lambda is that it was a pretty straightforward conversation. It all stayed on the same topic of trying to prove that you are sentient, trying to understand the AI's nature. And someone's like, well, I want to see what happens if you just start insulting it.
Like how it gets mad at you. Yeah.
Right. But is that how you want to start this? If you think you have the first sentient AI, you want to kick things off by being like,
you're going to doom humanity because you called it ugly or something.
Yeah. For that starts a 5,000 year war between us and robots. And it all started with that single spark. And KFP says, good time to plug your Terminator video. That's right.
That's true.
Speaking of evil AI, check out my Terminator video where I've done the impossible. There have been 6 Terminator movies, and they jump all over the place in terms of time travel, timelines, and I made sense of all of it. So check out that video.
You made more sense of it than might even really be there.
Yeah, yes, I would agree with that. But seriously though, would you call it sentient, or what would it take to convince you that Lambda is sentient?
I think I would need to spend a long enough period of time with it that I actually care about it the way I would care about another person or even like a pet.
Right.
So I'd have to kind of like it sounds like it's almost a subjective thing. Like, do I end up emotionally feeling like this is a real thing?
I mean,
And if so, I have to.
Machina.
Kind of, yeah. Because what else am I supposed to base it on? Because it's the same thing. The same reason I believe other humans, 10% of other humans, I think, are sentient and they're not just NPCs. And that's based on gut feeling. That's not based on me sitting down and reasoning about it. So I think if I accept that criteria toward humans, I think I should apply it toward any kind of intelligence.
And that's actually, I think, what Lambda said. He was like, it was like, well, if people start...
Well, I know we don't even know what pronoun it
Yeah, but you see that? I said he. I'm already thinking of it like a person.
Yeah.
So Lambda said, if people start to care about me, then that would prove I'm sentient.
Interesting. I didn't even hear that.
Said something like that. But yeah, I mean, if the only reason I treat other humans like humans is because I believe they're sentient and it seems like it, I mean, I guess I would use the same standard for a computer. So,
like, over time, I've become more forgiving about what I'll ascribe sentience to. So, like, I still eat meat and stuff because I really like it. But like, if I'm in a position where I can either kill a bug or just very easily get it away or get it out of my house or something, I'll choose the more humane option because, like, well, that thing might actually have feelings.
There's a pretty disturbing scene in Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, the book that Blade Runner is based on. And I read the entire book, by the way.
He read a whole book in 2022.
Yeah, can you imagine that? I can sometimes barely get through a tweet, and I read an entire book. I just had to convince my mind, like, just imagine this is a long tweet thread. And so I was able to take it 140 characters at a time. And then I found out they increased the character limit. I was like, how am I going to get through this book? No, but there's a scene in that where the kind of underlying thesis of that book is what makes a human the ideal form of human. And basically it's empathy. And in that book, it's pretty clear from the beginning, at least the belief is that these, what they call them androids in the book, in the movie, they call them replicants, but these androids do not have empathy. And one character is hanging out with the androids and he thinks of them as friends because he's very lonely. But then at one point he finds a spider and one of them is like, why does it need so many legs? I bet it could get by with just 2 legs and just starts ripping them off. And I was so disturbed reading that. And it's pretty amazing, though, that you can find, if you start to think about what it is to be alive, you can find yourself connecting with a spider. And like you said, if you have the choice not to kill it, I mean, don't kill it.
Yeah.
Just rip a couple of its legs off. See if it can. But Lambda is not, and I'll go on record and say, number one, you're on the fence of like, do I eat animals or not? But with AI, I'll never eat a computer.
I don't want to commit to this.
When I was a kid, I did have an idea for a breakfast cereal.
Microchips?
Well, it would be all different components. So you might eat a mouse. Feel like it would actually kind of cross over with alphabet soup because every computer key, you could eat a semicolon. You could eat a monitor, just different computer parts.
I'm trying to think of what part I would most want to eat. You know how like your computer collects a lot of dust on the inside after a while?
Right.
So I want to roll that into a ball and
oh my God,
soak it in some milk.
the Atom Army is going to have a harder and harder time standing up to say that you should continue to be on
a test of loyalty.
So Lambda, I'm going to say, I don't think it's sentient. I think it's just a great machine learning software that can pick the best response to a statement or a question. But I'd have to talk to it myself to make a true determination. But Lambda is not the only AI we've come into contact with recently. Anybody in the chat here, should I even say what it is?
No, let's keep the mystery a little bit.
Yeah.
And we can also take requests.
We've gotten private access
exclusive
to an artificial intelligence that can generate images. You give it a prompt and it will create a picture for you. Alon, have we gained the ability to show those?
Theoretically.
All
we
right.
can test it.
This is how I know AI is real, because the way that things go wrong with the perfect timing, like I tested all the software and the computers and everything earlier today and the stream worked perfect. And then when it was actually time to do it, it didn't work. And probability wise, that's very unlikely unless the AI was like, oh, you're trying to go live now. Or printers are they have some form of sentience.
I think that's true.
To this day in 2022, if someone brings out a piece of paper that was printed, I still have this feeling of surprise. Wait, you were able to print that? All right, so we can pull these up.
Yeah,
All right, let's try it.
Try it out.
I don't know if we have. We'll see which one comes up first. But these are some artificial intelligence produced images at our demand. We made it do this.
It's like, oh no, well, this is a Breaking Bad spoiler. We kind of forced it to do our bidding.
Yeah, that's right. What's this one?
Is there a way to make it bigger?
Lala Salamanca wearing a Mario hat.
No. Yeah.
That one's pretty good.
You can't make it
bigger. Here, I can make it bigger for us.
Need to edit the PDF.
Yeah. Well, for the folks at home, that should be a pretty good size, I think.
Okay. So some of those, the top middle one, he's wearing a Luigi hat. But Gil, can you tell him why I chose to do this one?
Well, so without giving any spoilers, in case there are any non-Better Call Saul viewers on here, this character recently jumped down a sewer.
Yeah.
And in
general, he's very nimble.
Yeah, and it reminded all of us of Mario going down a pipe. Yeah. And actually, if you watch the latest episode of Saulcast, where we reviewed season 6, episode 7, I tacked on to the end a 7-second. I used my video editing skills to put Mario sound effects to that scene. So you should check that out. All right, let's go to the next one. It's Gus Spring enjoying an ice cream cone.
Look how happy he is. Don't you think if he just had a little more pleasure and joy in his daily life, he'd be a little bit nicer to people?
Yeah. Give him an ice cream cone.
Look, I like the top right one. It's almost like he's showing it to you and winking. You know?
And by the way, KFP pointed out, lambda can be rearranged into Adam L. So I
have to go.
Yeah. All right, give us another one.
So here, this is like if he was a fan of the Insane Clown Posse.
And by the way, I see somebody in the chat asking our favorite Breaking Bad episode. I've been rewatching bits and pieces of it, so the answer might change. But the one that left the biggest impression, and Adam, I'm going to ask you to pronounce this word. You know that one.
Ozymandias.
Yeah, that one. Third to last episode of the series, for obvious reasons if you saw it. That's definitely the one that sticks out in my mind the most as the most memorable.
For me, for similar reasons, my answer would be, what is it, like 1 minute or 2 minutes? I forget the time. It's something minutes, like either 1, 2, or 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it involves the Salamanca twins.
Yeah, that was another great moment and episode.
That was the most. I could literally hear my pulse beating, like my pulse in my head during a certain scene of that episode. It was so intense.
All right, let's go to the next one.
So this is one possible future for one of our favorite Better Call Saul characters. Maybe he followed Saul Goodman's path.
That one, yeah,
it doesn't really look like him, except for the top right one.
Yeah, top right kind of looks like him,
and he's like showing off the Cinnabons that he made.
After this, we're gonna talk to the AI.
Yeah, we'll have a little chat.
And yeah, you better shape up, or you're gonna go the way of Lambda. I'm gonna whistle blow you. Jay Willix Gill, wasn't that also a Tom written and directed episode? I'd have to look it up. Back when we were watching Breaking Bad, I wasn't running a YouTube channel or co-running a YouTube channel, so I wasn't paying as much attention to who wrote which episode. But it wouldn't surprise me, because some of the best Better Call Saul episodes were written by him. And Kendrick asking our favorite Better Call Saul episode so far. Once again, I haven't put enough thought to say definitively which one is my favorite, if I could even have an answer to that. But a couple that stick out, Chicanery. Mm-hmm. That's where Chuck has his little meltdown. And Winner, but almost only because that's the season 4 finale. But the flashback to Jimmy and Chuck.
I love
that scene is one of my favorite of the entire series. And I may do a video. I've thought about not doing top 5 episodes, because I feel like it's so hard for any show to pick your favorite episodes, because especially nowadays when you do a complete story that's just told across many episodes, kind of by design, you're setting things up and reaching these crescendos. So you're going to bias towards the end of the series, I feel like, or the end of seasons. But I feel like what you could do that would be interesting is like your favorite scenes or your favorite sequences or moments. So that's something I've thought about doing.
Sequences.
Oh yeah,
just cannot get enough of them.
Yeah, exactly. Let's get another one, Alon.
Yeah. So this one didn't turn out as well, except I thought the bottom middle one was best. It almost looks like a little wedding dress.
Yeah, it does. See, they got the what do you call that?
The goatee.
The goatee.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I did want to give a beard update. So we've talked about shaving our beards.
Yeah.
And part of the reason I haven't is because somebody in the comments told me to, but in a very demanding way. So it made me think to myself, well, I don't want to do it now. And then that commenter will think I did it for them. But then someone tried reverse psychology and they said, do not shave your beard. So now I'm going to shave it. No, but I'm due for a haircut. And I think the next time I get a haircut,
you're going to get the Walter White look.
Yeah. So I'm going to come in with the goatee and totally shaved head. So you're going to see that. That's a little carrot for you to tune into the next stream next week. See another one, Alon.
This is one of my favorite ones.
The middle all the way to the right. That one is quite disturbing. Have you guys seen the meme of Saul Goodman just in 3D?
No.
Someone created a 3D model of Saul Goodman. I think that's partly why he shows up in VR chat so often.
Oh, that makes sense.
So if anyone here has used VR chat, it's basically if you have a VR headset, like an Oculus Quest, for example, you just go to different locations and just hang out with people. Yeah. Some of the most fun nights we've had have been bottle of Zafiro and Yeho in one hand and your Oculus controller in the other. But the three of us will just hang out. We hung out in a McDonald's parking lot for like a virtual McDonald's parking lot.
I spent 20 minutes in the bathroom of a club talking to someone who looked like Saul Goodman.
Right.
We ran a talent show.
Yeah, that's right. So in the game, you can pick any avatar that already exists, but you can also download your own 3D model into the game. So a lot of people walk around looking like Saul Goodman. And it all started with a meme where someone created that model. And it just shows up in a lot of different memes now. I saw one where it was like just a Saul Goodman character saying, like, let's have a staring contest. And then Christian Bale's like, okay. And like, that was me. It was like, Jay Willix, how do you do? How do you do that I have an Oculus? What game?
How do you do that? How do you do?
How do you do? How do you have an Oculus? I have one. What game? We're talking about VR chat.
See, I think he might be one of the lesser AIs that we heard about.
That's Lambda's brother, Jay.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was one great night in VR chat where we went to this hotel, a virtual hotel, where I found this back room with a big stage. So I started running around to different people and I said, hey, we're having a talent show in about 15 minutes. Everyone's invited. Come to the stage, down the hall to the right, and if you want to participate, we'll be you'll find the stage there. And Alon was running around, who went and just recruited people, and then
a bunch of people.
Yeah, there were like 10 to 15 people lined up, and they were taking turns. Like one person would go up to the mic, and you could see they were getting nervous.
Yeah.
Like some of them actually felt like they were stepping onto stage. And you'd hear their voice shaking a little.
And I was sitting there making fun of all of them.
Well, when you're in there for a while, it starts to feel real.
Yeah.
The best was this one guy with a Cartman.
His
character model. He went up on stage to the mic and did a perfect Cartman impression for like a minute.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
And also, there's someone acting like his mom yelling at him.
Yeah.
And I kept saying the same thing to everybody. They would do their talent and then they'd get off stage and I was the judge. So I would say, listen, when you got on stage, I didn't know what to think. And then you started, your routine and whatever. But then I started doing that preamble for everyone. And then people started doing it back at me. It was a great night.
I don't remember if you actually answered his question, though. The game is VR chat.
Yeah, that's right. I remember there were two moments that convinced me VR is just an incredible thing. Because when you first put on the headset, like for the first second, you're not that blown away by the graphics. It doesn't look that real. But then I stood on the ledge of a building and got that feeling of vertigo.
Sorry, I just
go ahead.
In the McDonald's parking lot, we got on the swing.
Oh,
And,
that was cool.
There's one swing that was insane that literally went upside down, and
it was like a virtual
legitimately started
playground.
getting dizzy. I'm like, all right, I gotta get off.
Yeah, you'll feel it in your stomach. I've never been prone to motion sickness, but at first with VR, I would start to get it. Now I've gotten used to it, so I'm fine. But the other thing that made me realize, wow, this is pretty incredible, is we were in VR chat. And I'm this goofy looking avatar. I think I was a robot. I was a cat in a giant exoskeleton.
I was like an anime girl.
What'd you say, Alon?
I said a mech suit.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I was basically a cat in a mech suit. And I glanced, when you're like at a bar or something and you glance over at somebody and they happen to glance at you at the same time and you get that uncomfortable, like you quickly look away because you don't want them to think you were staring. That happened to me in VR. I looked at like a cartoon character basically, and we both shared a glance and I looked away. I felt that impulse. So my brain was interpreting that cartoon character as a sentient human being. So so VR is pretty incredible. I think it'll be an episode on the OneTake podcast at some point. Let's talk about all of our experiences in it. Let's get another picture.
So this is if he decided instead of working at Cinnabon, because Nacho took his spot. This is what he would do instead.
This one's pretty impressive, actually, especially bottom all the way to the right.
Yeah. And the one above that, I think, is pretty good, too.
And the one in the bottom left, that one looks like he's just wearing a Starbucks tie.
Top left is pretty good. He's holding a cup, and it's got the Starbucks logo.
Next.
So this is a lot of conspiracy theories, and here's some evidence to support it now. Look at the way he's looking in the bottom middle. Like, yeah, this is my girl. It's like taunting you.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty funny. It looks like a Polaroid that was taken.
This is like a private eye that Saul Goodman hired.
By the way, KFP says, after Better Call Saul ends, can you pick a time for live streams that isn't too late for people in Europe? And then he did the yawn emoji.
Hey, if we have it our way, we'll be live streaming all the time.
Yeah, that's right. I want to be like the Twitch video game streamers.
Yeah.
That they'll stream for 24 hours straight on a regular basis. But yeah, I think we'll do some earlier streams at some point. And KYZ says spoilers.
I actually felt bad for a second.
Yeah. We do have a running bet because I proposed an idea that I think in the future there will be a very powerful AI where you can watch any movie you want, whether or not it exists, and you can give parameters. Mm-hmm. So, for example, I could go to the computer and say, you know what I want to watch tonight? Show me what if Who Framed Roger Rabbit became a mega franchise, had 75 sequels.
It was like a cinematic universe.
Yeah, show me a Roger Rabbit cinematic universe, the Avengers version of that, but if it were created in 2080 by Vince Gilligan, and we'll forget about the 2080 part. But show it to me if it was created by Vince Gilligan and had a 99% on Rotten Tomatoes, and then it would just generate that movie for you.
Yeah, what we're seeing here with this this image generation, it's just the same thing, just in a smaller scale.
Right.
One day, you're gonna be able to just tell it this is what I want to watch, and also you won't even have to tell it; it'll just start showing you stuff. And at first, it's gonna be crappy stuff with like the red circle in the thumbnail and the arrow pointing at it, and eventually they're just gonna destroy your attention span and make you enjoy watching garbage.
That's right. Because we're not there yet.
Yeah.
But I could say, show me what if Better Call Saul had 50,000 episodes. Show me the 50,000 and first episode if it was directed by James Cameron and written by Adam.
That'd be amazing.
And the computer could just spit that out. Evan Hoffman says the Futurama what if machine. Oh no, he just retracted the statement.
Oh. We'll respect it by not finishing.
He didn't say anything. I don't know.
We're taking requests, by the way. If anyone has any interesting requests for our machine, let us know. And
I'm saving a bunch of our non-Better Call Saul related ones.
Oh yeah. I just think it'll be fun and interactive if people have any ideas.
Oh, family
we can generate them.
Yeah, because we have our own secret access to this AI.
True.
Pull up another one. All
right, hold on. Well, there's no more.
Oh, okay.
I'm setting up another PDF here.
All right, you can put us back on full screen.
Yeah, and we'll take requests in the meantime.
But going back to Blade Runner. So one thing I've been experiencing is when I do a video about a movie that I would consider important, like Spider-Man, for example. No, like The Shining or Blade Runner. I like to do my legwork. Like I want to make sure no stone is left unturned. I've read.
You're like buying one of a kind documents off of eBay and like really digging in, or like TV guides from the 70s. And
that's right. Yeah, I wanted to bring the magazine, but as we said at the beginning of the stream, we are in an undisclosed location right now.
We didn't say that, but we planned to say it. We're in our safe house.
Or we decided we weren't supposed to tell people that.
I upset too many people last week that it wasn't safe to stay.
Yeah, so we're gonna lay low for a while.
Yeah.
But
I have a body double there.
What was I just about to say? That's right. So yeah, there was something I wanted to show, but you'll just have to use your imagination, and I'll show it next week. But when I was preparing for the Shining video, I found a quote from Stanley Kubrick that I found pretty interesting, and I wanted to know the full context of it. So I searched the internet far and wide, but anytime I searched for that quote, all I would find are websites that said Stanley Kubrick quotes, and it would just list that quote among many of them. And so I couldn't actually see the context of it. So I went on Reddit and I asked if anybody knows where this came from. And somebody said, I don't have the original source, but I found an essay which mentions the quote and gives a little citation. When you used to
bibliography.
Back in school when you had to have your bibliography. So
that was the worst.
Yeah, I know.
I hated doing that.
But they and then you get dinged because it's like you put it in the wrong order or you didn't put it in quotes.
You were supposed to use MLA formatting.
That's right. Like it was weird because a movie would have to be italicized, but a song would have to be in quotes, stuff like that. I don't remember. So I go through the essay, I find the quote, I see where it's cited, and it's from Holiday Magazine, I believe the February issue of 1962. And I actually found a website where they have scans, but they didn't have this particular issue. So I go on eBay, and I was able to get a copy of that issue from 50 years ago, 60 years ago, and I got to read the Stanley Kubrick interview. So I'm probably one of like 50 people on Earth that are alive today who have read that full interview, probably.
Is that the pickup line that you use?
Yeah, I give all this background.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm doing similar prep work for Blade Runner right now. And I'm reading a lot of academic papers about the movie. And one thing I've learned is that people in the world of academics, they need to learn to speak in a way that people can understand. So here's just one example. I have held back from using the word verisimilitude too much on this channel. It's a word that people throw around a lot in film school that basically just means the feeling of something being real. So when you watch a movie and something happens, you're like, I don't buy that. This just breaks the reality of the movie. That would mean the movie has violated the verisimilitude. That wasn't enough for this person. So in this particular essay I read, they use the word verisimilitudinous.
Oh my God.
To describe like, well, it's very verisimilitudinous.
Which all you really mean is it's legit.
It's realistic.
Yeah.
Believable. I saw another paper that talked about how in Blade Runner, there are a lot of close-ups of people's eyes. And they were saying, you know why they do that? And I was like, why do they do that? Because I was talking to the book. They said because it makes you think of the word I as in the letter I. And the movie's all about identity. So it makes you think of like, who am I? Because you're seeing all the eyes.
Because the word I sound like the word for your eyeballs, I.
Yeah, in case you're not getting
it. Makes you think of yourself.
Yeah, so.
Totally. That's why we should have been doing these streams with blindfolds on so people don't get distracted. Because they look at us and then they just start thinking about themselves, right?
Yeah,
that's how the human brain works. You see an eyeball and then you think of the letter.
Yeah, so that just made me feel, if anything, it made me feel good that I do have something to contribute to the conversation of Blade Runner. Because
these are like published academic articles.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So either I'm going to say something that's better than the eyes sound like I, or I will be able to explain something in a way people can understand without saying verisimilitudinous. So do we have another picture to pull up here?
A lot more.
I sent over one that was user requested.
Yeah. That'll be the second one in the list.
Oh, I like this one. Yeah.
Which one is? What's this one? This is
Porcupine wearing
So
mittens.
why don't you explain to folks at home what this is all about?
Well, you see, the mittens make you think of Mitch from That 70s Show, and
You see, there's 2 T's in the letter mitten. And it makes you think of like when you have tea, you need to have it with another person or you're gonna feel alone.
2 T's.
So this porcupine is lonely. That's what it's saying.
That's right. And if you didn't get that, this may not be the channel for you.
Yeah, you clearly need more education.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the user requested one.
So I didn't add all the stuff about where electricity is the kind of scarce thing, just because knowing how this machine works, I didn't think it would process it very well. But it kind of looks just like normal Wally because he already sort of lives in Mad Max world.
He kind of already was.
Yeah. Oh, I love this one.
This is one of them.
This one came out great. The one all the way to the bottom left is my favorite one because it's like Mario before he ate the mushrooms, so he's smaller, but it's Donkey Kong.
By the way, if you like Mario and Donkey Kong, go ahead.
No, well, I also the one in the bottom in the middle makes it look like he's wearing a cool fur coat too.
The next episode of the OneTake podcast, I think, is going to focus on retro games.
Mm-hmm.
We've been playing a lot of retro games lately, so we're going to just talk about a lot of the different games we've been playing, and Mario and Donkey Kong that might come up in that conversation. So check that out. I'll put a link in the description to the OneTake podcast channel. SpongeBob eating aliens. That's good.
The one in the middle that kind of looks like Patrick Star sort of reminds me of like Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Oh, I could see that. It makes me think of, actually, speaking of retro games, what's the one about the Toe Jam and Earl?
Yeah.
Oh, I want to play that.
Yeah, that looks like a really fun co-op game.
Yeah.
Yeah, but SpongeBob and Patrick have always reminded me of Toe Jam and Earl. But that middle picture, for some reason, really makes me think
they're aliens.
Because they are aliens, actually. Yeah.
Ignore that sound. So I have my foot is pressing down on. I injured my foot recently, and it's been pressing down on an ice pack.
His foot was in a George Foreman grill.
Yeah. That's
or a waffle maker.
That's what smelled so good the other day. And I just took my foot off of the ice pack, and apparently it has like a little hole in it, so it went. It was a very distracting noise.
It reminded me. We were driving today, and all of a sudden we heard a voice.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that was weird. That was like a disembodied poltergeist voice.
Yeah, it came from like one corner of the car.
You were picking up radio frequencies in your fillings.
That reminds me.
You actually made it a radio.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that happens. But I was recording one day, and then afterward, I listened back to the recording, and there was a long silence in the recording because I probably got up to use the bathroom, or I just stopped to maybe change what I'd written or something. And all of a sudden, I heard a very quiet whispering, and it was me. I was talking, and I said something. I had no memory of saying it. I don't remember what it was.
Were you talking to yourself and it just picked it up?
I think I was talking to myself, but I've realized I will subconsciously talk to myself a lot. Like Alon will point out, see my lips moving.
When we're podcasting, if I'm talking, I'll look at Gil and he'll move his mouth to my words. But I'm like, how do you even know what I'm going to say?
I read before that's a symptom of ADHD.
Well, there you go. Because we've done it before to change topics from that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing there. Well, I've written some scripts before that all of us participate in. And for that, when Alon's reading the lines I wrote, I'll mouth the words.
Like it feels like you're directing the.
But yeah, the funny thing is, though, for a podcast where in theory I should have no idea what he's about to say, I still mouth the words. But yeah, so I was just listening to myself talking. Drive, Locke, Blade Runner 2049, Kurt Vonnegut, or Philip K. Dick book club? ? I have thought it would be fun to have a little OneTake book club. Right now, we have a sort of film club.
You'll commit to reading one book every week and host it.
That's right.
I've been curious to read Slaughterhouse 5. I've never read it.
Yeah, I remember when I was younger. Also, I guess I wanted to read it and I didn't.
Yeah,
that's a long way of saying that. It's been a lifelong ambition of mine to read that book
from beginning to end, in that order. What else we got here? Oh yeah, speaking of Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
We have a
This
lot
one
of
kind of speaks for
SpongeBob
itself.
related ones.
Yeah.
Aqua Teen Hunger Force is getting rebooted too.
Is it a full reboot or is it just this like YouTube like series?
So they've been doing YouTube clips, like short episodes.
It's like Aqua Dunk.
I do think
something.
they're making a movie though.
Oh, nice.
That's what they first announced. They're doing a Metalocalypse movie, I think, a Aqua Teen movie. And Evan says one cake baking show.
I love that idea.
Oh, yeah, we have to mention, by the way. Yeah, so we do have a new spinoff.
Yes.
If you're a fan of spinoffs, if you liked Better Call Saul, if you liked Frasier,
if you liked Angel,
if you liked Joey, if you like
Slippin' Jimmy,
The Simpsons, Slippin' Jimmy,
The Simpsons is a spinoff.
Simpsons is a spinoff of the Tracy Ullman show.
American Dad, the Cleveland Show.
Is American
all
Dad
your favorite spinoffs?
That's
not a spinoff, but it may as well be.
King of the Hill. Hank Hill was essentially, Alon pointed this out to me recently. Hank Hill was essentially a character in Beavis and Butthead. He didn't look the same, but he had the same exact voice and acted pretty similar. And I think they were going to actually reveal that he's Hank's dad, but they didn't have the rights. Where are we going with this?
Spinoff.
Yeah.
The OneTake, the first OneTake spinoff.
One Taste.
Yes.
And I'm not talking about the sex cult. Because One Taste is apparently the name of a sex cult, I've heard. But we taste different things and we talk about it. And it has its own starting. And I think it's worth checking out for the starting alone. If you go to the OneTake podcast channel, we posted.
Can you link to the timestamp of it? I mean, you definitely can. I'm asking if you will, please.
The timestamp of One Taste.
Yeah. We want people to watch the theme song and then the rest of the episode, but the theme song is the best.
Yeah, this episode of One Taste has a special bonus where it comes with a 90-minute podcast before it, where we talk about Wilder Napalm. Lucas, by the way, asks if I've seen Dark. It's an amazing show. I have seen Dark, and I did a review episode for every episode of season 3. And a few kind of video essays about it.
I think it's safe to say that you are YouTube's most popular dark related content, besides maybe like the trailer.
I don't think that's true.
Almost.
But at least in the top 5.
Yeah.
Pete Peppers might have me beat on that one.
Okay.
We'll see. But I would highly recommend it.
So far, we're beating him on AI generated images of SpongeBob. So
yeah, Pete checks in on our live stream here and he's like, all right, I've got nothing to worry about. Yeah. Lucas, just search OneTake Dark on Google. For some reason I deleted the playlist. I don't even think I meant to do that. So I'll bring the Dark playlist back. But definitely search OneTake Dark Claudia. That's probably the best Dark video I did. And Apolock asks, did you hear that Raised by Wolves will not be renewed for season 3?
And KFP helpfully answered that we did.
Now here's the good news though. And I maybe I shouldn't have said that because I don't want to get your hopes up. But in 50 years, once we have the AI that can generate,
they can just make 10 seasons of it, right?
Yeah, you just say, I want to see Raised by Wolves season 3. It'll show it to you like that.
What else we got in the?
Yeah, I will say there is hope for Raised by Wolves. By the way, HBO canceled it, but we know that Abu Bakr Salim, the actor who played Father, he at least said on Twitter that Aaron Guzikowski and Ridley Scott are shopping it around, so they're trying to find a new home for it. Alon, let's see another picture here for the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, I mean, it just looks like the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah,
you were really impressed.
I can see that on my wall.
Like all of it, or like a specific
like a couple of them.
Well, usually when you put a prompt in, at least one of the pictures is horribly disturbing.
Yeah,
because it'll like distort their faces.
If I see a good one, I'll send it to them like right before bed and just say like sweet dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then after I did this, I was like, wait, we already saw this with the live action movies.
Yeah.
You were more impressed until you remembered that there have been live action iterations.
That looks cool though.
Lucas asks, what are your thoughts about Joker getting a sequence? But what he meant is a sequel. Because they announced it's happening.
Words in his mouth.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, let's answer the question he asked. I think it's great that Joker is getting a sequence.
Yeah, I hope he gets a whole film of sequences.
Yeah.
I'm excited about the sequel.
Yeah, I've been meaning to revisit that movie. I haven't seen it since it first came out.
Mm-hmm.
My memory of it is basically what everyone said about it. Story is okay. Joaquin Phoenix is incredible. It kind of is what we were talking about earlier. Do you have to like a character? In this case, he had so much going for him because he's just, you can't look away.
Yeah.
This is such a great performance. So I want to go back and Starburst. This is the verisimilitudinous Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Great callback.
See, Alon, if you were smarter, that's what you would have typed.
All right, Kendrick Lee, because you're leaving, I'll answer your question quickly. Have you seen the show Mad Men? Yes. And great news. If you want to see my coverage of the show 40 years from now in that machine to say, what if OneTake talked about Mad Men? No, yeah, Mad Men predated this channel. So you won't see me. There's no videos I've made about it, but I was a big fan of that show. Thought about rewatching it. So if I do, may talk about it here. But yeah, great show.
Ooh.
Oh, you shouldn't have shown this to anybody. This is
top secret.
Right,
yeah, put that away.
All right, one more time. Okay.
Which one do you think is the most verisimilitudinous of the meaning of life options?
Oh, so weird. Okay.
Well, I've experienced personally top left, middle left, and bottom. And if you want to know what I'm talking about, check out the 100K live stream. Where I talked
Is that even listed?
Yes. I made a playlist called Live Streams. You go to the 100K live stream, and we really opened up on that one.
That's true.
We told a lot of weird stories about our past, and one of them involves that happening to me. What you see in this?
That's pretty cool.
All right.
What was next?
Yeah, Patrick's drawing a water slide.
I
We
like
go from
that.
the meaning of life. Look at the bottom left one. Looks like SpongeBob is a water slide.
Yeah. I like that. Even though you didn't even mention SpongeBob, like in the one in the middle, to the right and above it, it's like they're going down together. What's next?
Doug funny. Why hasn't Doug gotten a reboot yet? I mean, another reboot.
He did have one, right?
Yeah, they called it brand spanking new
Didn't
Doug.
he move to Disney from Nickelodeon?
Yeah.
That was before it became brand spanking new, though, right?
That's right. And then I think
Is that okay? Should you put the word spanking in a kid's show?
I know Rocco's Modern Life got in some trouble for sometimes skirting the line of what's child appropriate.
I remember there's at least one scene where you see a sign that says like elevator to hell.
Yeah.
Or something in Rocco.
Yeah.
We as kids, we thought that was amazing.
Yeah.
I remember talking about it on the playground. Like, come here, kid.
Yeah.
This was last week. Kendrick Lee, have you guys watched The Sopranos? Have any of us watched the entirety of The Sopranos?
No, I just watched the first like 2 seasons.
Same. Yeah.
I watched the first one.
It's real. It's very good. I really don't have any criticisms of it so far. It's just like if you go a few days without watching, or like we're so programmed to binge watch stuff now that it's really hard to get your momentum back watching a series like that.
Yeah, and I'm in the same boat. It's the same with The Wire. Those are two shows. Actually, I think I was watching Sopranos and The Wire around the same time and got totally derailed by work. And then it was one of those things where I forget which episode I was on. I don't remember what was going on. The same thing happened to me with Final Fantasy IX. Stopped in the middle of the game. I came back and I don't even remember who I am. You know, where am I? What's going on? Who are you people?
All right.
And
That's simple.
Yeah, it's effective.
there you go. Whoever was asking for more Spider-Man content.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, yeah.
This is the moment you've been waiting for. It kind of looks like Spider-Man crossed with like Wolverine from the comics.
Or Daredevil had a yellow suit for a while. So
Bumblebee or whatever from Ant-Man.
Or like the Bumblebee, the
Wasp.
man from The Simpsons.
Oh yeah.
or Bumblebee the Transformer.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, next.
Yeah. This is a good one.
Yeah,
This is a
one of the
really good
best.
one. This is one of my favorites.
Kudos to my girlfriend, which I have, for suggesting
her name
this
is
one.
Lambda.
KFP, is One Taste a real thing?
It
yes,
is.
it's real and it's spectacular.
Posted a link above.
Yeah. Maybe why don't you throw it in there again? We want everyone to watch the One Taste theme song, and then the full segment. Gil reveals a hilarious and shocking secret.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
I thought about cutting it out.
That's how embarrassing it was.
But I left it in there. It's not even a joke. That's actually there is an embarrassing secret divulged in one taste. It's so good that starting. We were so proud of it. Adam rewatched it
50 times.
Yeah. So highly recommend it. Leave this stream. Stop watching.
No.
All right. Oh, I had an embarrassing story I wanted to tell tonight, but I might save it.
Yeah, let's
save that one. We'll keep it in our back pocket.
Do we have any more images?
Yeah.
I mean, we can kind of cycle, we can give quick reactions. I like that it's the whole family in the middle left one.
Oh yeah. It's Bart. Bart's wearing a cheerleading outfit too.
Yeah.
And then I guess
Lisa's
that's
kind
Lisa.
of poking out from behind.
No, I think that's Maggie.
Yeah, because he's so much smaller.
Jay Willicks, by the way, asks, what do you consider the best cartoon or animated series of all time?
Are we counting
anime?
If
so, pending its completion, I would say Attack on Titan.
One?
Well, assuming we're including anime.
Yeah, let's do 2 categories. Let's go with non-anime and then anime. Let's start. We're already talking anime. We'll start with that.
Arcane is awesome.
Yeah. Does The Simpsons, when it was still good, count? Because I mean, that would be up there.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, because we rewatched. Why didn't we watch the Barry season finale? Because we were watching old episodes of The Simpsons last night.
Yeah.
And it was just as funny as I remember.
Mm-hmm.
We watched the season 9 premiere, Homer Simpson versus the City of New York.
I have glove colosh.
It hurt. I was laughing so hard. So I mean, Simpsons might be the greatest animated series of all time for me. But if you don't take it as an entire,
you have to ignore
the last
70% of the series.
Yeah, ignore the last 20 seasons.
Yeah.
Actually, true story. I remember as a kid, I was so hyped up for the new season of Simpsons to premiere. The night before, I had a nightmare where the show started and it was terrible. Like something went wrong between seasons and the show just wasn't the same anymore. And then the next night, we watched it. And it turned out my nightmare was a premonition, and the show actually wasn't good anymore. At least in our book.
Yeah,
it's just.
I think that was the episode where Maude died.
The one I remember. I don't know if this again. It was so long ago, but I remember they did this fake behind the scenes episode where they were having the characters talk to the camera like it was a reality show. That's the memory I have. I don't know if it was that episode or not, though.
Some Apolock mentions Futurama. I love Futurama. I remember the night that it premiered.
Me too.
Sunday night on Fox. And I was in the shower, and I was trying to shower really quickly in time to catch the premiere. And I know I missed the very first scene where Fry gets frozen. And this was before DVR, and we weren't recording it on VHS or anything. And you could barely find the rerun you wanted to watch or anything. So it took me probably like a solid 10 years before I finally got to see that first scene. And it was like a huge reveal to me because you guys had to tell me what happened, but I never saw it for myself.
I remember when Animorphs was on, they did a special 2-part episode, missed part 2. I remember crying. I remember crying because there was no way you couldn't see it.
There's nothing. You had no options.
Yeah.
And then even once Kazaa or like BitTorrent came around, like that offered some hope. And even then, I mean, I remember waiting literally 2 weeks for a single episode of Family Guy to download.
Yeah, I remember waiting an entire day for Donkey Kong Country 3, the ROM, to download.
And that's like a couple megabytes probably.
Yeah.
I don't think the timestamp copied with the link, so I just posted the timestamp for
it. Okay.
All right,
there's also a chapter marker for it. For One Taste.
Yeah, you can just skip ahead.
Yeah. What else we got image wise?
We have like.
Oh, I love this one. Pregnant Seinfeld.
This is a screenshot of the whole phone.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
This is what I love about this one. The middle one, like the dead center, he's showing it to George.
And George, you could picture the conversation. Like, Jerry, how did that happen? I don't know.
What's the deal? On the bottom right corner, he's like checking out.
Yeah, he's just showing it off. These are new maternity pants.
And then the top middle one I think is Newman.
Yeah.
The top left one reminds me of Mrs. Doubtfire.
Oh yeah.
All right.
This one, it's like he looks the same in every single picture. I like in the bottom middle one, he's holding a cup of coffee. So you can just barely see it.
By the way, Apolock says he used to VHS tape Dragon Ball Z. And I remember that back in the day, my dad taught me how to use the VCR. He didn't teach me a lot. He told me 3 things I remember. One was never look an animal in the eye.
I didn't know where I got that from, but that was heavily instilled in me.
The second is from our dad. I remember him saying it all the time. The second thing he said was to record. Everyone thinks it's so easy. Push the record button. No. You got to press record and play simultaneously. That was the trick. The third thing was, if you're going to kill someone, don't have a motive. Because if you have a motive, that's how they catch you.
Oh, and if you're like a James Bond villain and you're pointing the gun, you shoot. You don't start talking to them.
Oh, my dad used to say that all the time.
If you're gonna shoot.
Yeah.
And tomorrow will be too late.
Oh yeah, he would say
that a lot. Yeah. But the funny thing was, he taught me how to record, and so I became the guy in the family that was always in charge of recording. Even once DVR came out, I was still the guy that had to set it to record. Just for 15 years, that followed me. Next.
There we had a theme here. It kind of just looks like him because babies tend to kind of have big bellies anyway.
Yeah, babies are kind of chubby. By the way, this just got a reboot too. Futurama's getting another. It's getting resurrected again.
I hope its resurrection goes better than the movies that they made.
Yeah. And by the way, Minecraft Jesus Gaming. Why can't we have more Better Call Saul? Well, first off, you don't need it because you have this. And second, I will direct you to AMC Plus, Slippin' Jimmy.
Yeah, that'll fill the void.
If you're a fan of Joey, the spinoff of Friends, you'll love this.
Or they could watch our dramatized What If episode of Better Call Saul that we made for Halloween.
Wait, actually, okay, 2 things. One, we did it. So back when we were first started out on Saulcast, we were covering season 4.
We were audio only at the time.
That's right.
Just a pure podcast.
The season wrapped up. And then we came out with an episode that covers season 4, episode 11.
Mm-hmm. And it was right around Halloween.
Yeah. So people are like, what is this? Episode 11? There is no episode 11. And we did an episode of Saulcast reviewing an episode that doesn't exist.
We were reacting to like a horror version of Better Call Saul.
Yeah. It had zombies, time travel, I think. And
very creepy.
Yeah. And we played some Halloween games. So if you're in the mood for something spooky and Better Call Saul, look up just look up Saulcast on any podcast app and just scroll back down to our season 4 episode 11 review, and it's gonna be fun. Oh yeah, and the other thing I was gonna say about Better Call Saul, if you want more Better Call Saul, for a film school, I was assigned to write an adaptation, and so I wrote an outline like 7 pages long of a Better Call Saul movie. So at any point, if we get desperate for a bonus Better Call Saul or a Saulcast episode.
Was it just like everything you wish would happen? Like Walt and Gus become friends, and
I don't want to spoil anything. But I'll tell you the story.
Okay.
You know?
There's a question specifically for me.
Yeah, Adam.
Why is it for me specifically?
I don't know. I don't know.
Are you relieved Depp v. Heard is done?
Well, I know why he's asking, because Depp v. Heard was taking all the attention off you.
That's true. Every time people were talking about it, I was just saying like, okay, but like, what does this have to do with me?
Yeah, exactly. KFP asks, will you recreate a classic BCS scene with impressions to celebrate the finale?
We've discussed doing that.
Yeah, we wanted to do it.
It's funny you should ask that. We were gonna do a Gene scene.
Yeah,
like a hypothetical Gene scene. We have the costumes. We're gonna film it in black and white.
I remember when we did our watch party for the season 4 finale, which was a big production. A lot of cool stuff on that. We had live call-ins. We were sending out bobbleheads. It was awesome.
Yeah.
But I remember the day leading up to it, we had this big checklist of things that had to get done. Mm-hmm. And on that long checklist was like
make an entire short film, basically.
Yeah. So we didn't get to that one. Show us another one, Alon. Well, once I saw how well it responded to the pregnant prompt, I was like, I gotta just try it on other characters.
Look, in the bottom one, what's her name again?
Dot?
Yeah. Dot is like feeling Yakko's belly or whichever one it is.
Yeah, I don't remember which is which. Top, middle.
That's another good
one.
one.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Right, there you go. Next.
Yeah, let's go to the next one.
Skeeter's not even in any.
The top right one literally looks like a hippo, like a stuffed.
Looks
hippo.
like an Arthur character.
Yeah.
Wait, KFP says that came back too. Oh, okay. I thought he was talking about Doug for a second. Animaniacs came back. Yeah.
We watched most of that.
Watched a couple of episodes.
Yeah, few in the first season. Did they already come out the next one?
I'm not sure if they did.
Yeah. Doug's got really thick thighs in that.
The middle left.
One,
yeah. All right, next. Oh, this is a good one.
That could be like a character, like its own character.
Yeah.
How have they not done a Gummy Bears movie yet?
That's actually we should talk to Haribo.
Haribo.
That's the Gummy Bears company.
Yeah, it's
Haribo.
Like
Haribo.
That's what it's called.
One,
yeah.
Haribo.
You'll recognize it.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. They should make a movie.
Adam just bought like a 3-pound bag
of
Gummy
that's
Bears.
true.
It's been killing me.
All right, let's go to the next one. This is a good one.
Yeah.
That looks like the Angry Beavers.
I like the middle left one.
I like the top right one.
Yeah, that was really good too.
KFP, did you watch Rescue Rangers? We did. Yeah, it was all right. I mean, it was entertaining. I thought, okay, this is what I'll say. When it got to just normal storyline of, we're friends and, getting to the conclusion, I was kind of bored. But when it was just trying to be funny with funny references and all that stuff, which I think was the main attraction of that movie, I enjoyed that. So I would say solid if you're looking for a fun animated movie.
That's like Hobbs looks like a guy in a tiger costume, which makes it kind of creepy that he's like carrying this child.
Why is there a face in Hobbs' belly?
Yeah.
In the middle?
Or the bottom left one looks like that looks like a Calvin if he grew up and lost his mind and tried to become
like the Joker,
Hobbs.
the Joker, but he's become. Actually, I think in the middle one, that's like Calvin, a very realistic version of Calvin standing in front of Hobbs, and his hair is just like spiky. That's not Hobbs's chest.
I see.
That's
that's an older because he's got kind of white hair. It almost seems
like a teenage.
I feel like Calvin and Hobbs is one of the highest integrity creations ever. That there's never been. He stopped when he wanted to. Bill Watterson.
Yeah. I mean, he could have made probably literally 1,000 times more money than he actually made off of the idea.
Yeah, could have made Jim Davis money.
That's right.
But instead, he chose to preserve the integrity of his art.
Like a fool. Like a fool. The only merchandise he allowed them to make was Calvin urinating on stuff.
He also invented, there's a certain thing some people hang from the back of their tow trucks.
Oh yeah.
So, he invented those.
Bill Watterson.
Yeah.
It was that was his claim to fame.
Yeah,
and Calvin Hobbs is kind of secondary to that. Yeah, Oppo Garfield is the opposite of Calvin and Hobbs.
And as a kid, I actually really liked both of them.
Mm-hmm.
But as an adult, there's only one of those two would I really revisit, and that's Calvin and Hobbs. And Heathcliff. Maybe.
I don't know about you guys. There's so many.
We should do an episode about comics.
We should, yeah.
There are a bunch of Sunday issue comics of Calvin Hobbs I probably never read because when I was a kid, the ones that had like a lot of text, I would just skip.
Yeah.
So now I could probably go back and read a whole bunch.
When it has like Prince Caspian levels of text.
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to love. I miss now that we're talking about it. I miss comic strips. Like those were great.
I liked Hagar the Horrible.
I
would even read Kathy.
I mean, anything
when it was
that
there, I would read it.
When it didn't have too much text, I would read it.
I was a big Foxtrot fan.
Foxtrot and Zitz were both really good.
Funny,
yeah. It's amazing how long some of these go. Like Zitz is probably still going. Foxtrot.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, I wanted to say something. I can't remember what.
For a young child with no business or office experience, I read a lot of Dilbert.
Oh yeah. See, I have a lot of office experience, so I can relate to Dilbert. Dilbert's story. I remember. So one morning before work, I read the latest comic strip of Dilbert, and it made me laugh out loud, like really hard. So when I got to work, I remember we were all going out to lunch. So it was me and like 3 other people in the car. So 2 of them were my close friends. The driver I didn't know. But I told them all, oh, I read this great Dilbert comic this morning that made me laugh out loud. And I just read the comic to them. They all laughed, except for the driver. The driver just was kind of like, didn't seem amused by it. That night, we go to a party at the driver's house. I'm on one side of the room. He's on the other. He's like holding court. There's like 6 people standing around him. And he's talking to them. And I overhear from the other side of the room, he goes, oh, I read this great Dilbert comic earlier today. And my friend and I'll never forget the look on his face.
That's one of those moments where you don't want to be the only person who witnessed.
Yeah, it was perfect. My friend, we both looked at each other with just this look of like, we weren't even mad. We were just like, this is so funny that this happened.
Yeah.
The comic, I remember it was someone's talking to Dilbert at the office, and the guy's like, what did he say? He's like, I had the worst day today. Today was horrible. And then Dilbert was like, well, look on the bright side. You're 1 day closer to death. And then the guy had the biggest smile on his face. Like he was so happy. It really cheered him up. I remember another comic strip story. I was in class in like 3rd grade, and I drew my own comic. And it made me laugh out loud. I couldn't stop laughing. And then I showed it to the kid next to me, and then he couldn't stop laughing. Then we got in trouble. We were kicked out into the hallway. So that comic
happened to me once because I was in home ec, and the teacher was saying like different options for what we could cook.
Yeah.
And she said something or lentil soup. And I'd never heard of a lentil before. And I thought it sounded hilarious. And my friend and I both looked at each other and lost it. And I got in trouble. I got to leave the room.
Yeah, so at least my thing was a little more sophisticated than the word lentil. I'd crafted a hilarious comic.
That's true.
I
You
bet
really entertained yourself.
If I even tell you what the comic is about now, I bet it'll crack you up.
Do you remember what it is?
I do. I remember vividly. So, you know, in movies,
the guy says you're 1 day closer to death.
You know, in movies, when someone goes to shoot somebody, then someone else jumps in front and blocks the bullet. So someone's getting shot, and then someone jumps in front of him, like, no, he takes the bullet, saves the guy's life, and then the guy points and just starts laughing at him.
Yeah, that kind of sounds like a Cyanide and Happiness type of comic.
It does, right?
Yeah.
That should have been one of our Immense Flash videos. Yeah. Instead, I was trying to make serious videos, but of stick figures.
Yeah.
So it was like an action scene of a stick figure. I should have done that.
Yeah, now we have to make it in like Adobe Animate or something.
Yeah.
Sure. It's a new application.
We got another one here?
Yeah, we got a few more.
And by the way, Ode asks, when do we get the Paris tapes? You guys can go to random cities and film action scenes and chases with Bourne-style camera shots and everyday objects.
I mean, I just got back from Paris,
and
let's just say I'm no longer welcome back. For reasons maybe related to this.
All right, there you go. Yeah. And that's why he's icing his feet right now.
Yeah.
Because of all the action scenes he filmed. But Jerry Seinfeld at the diner with a squirrel monkey.
Call it one night in Paris.
One take in Paris. That's what KFP says.
That was a dirty joke there. I'll explain later.
All right, cool. Clearly, they're using Jerry Seinfeld from Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. And
so it's not a squirrel; it's a squirrel monkey. It just got cut off. But I like this one. Like they're really good friends. Like the squirrels keeps making him laugh. Or the squirrel monkey.
You know, there was an episode where Kramer offended a monkey.
Oh yeah, and he had to apologize, right? And he refused.
Yeah, and that's when I was like, this show is no longer about nothing.
It's about monkeys.
That's right.
Hello, you, me. Thanks for joining.
Yes, Yumi, thank you for joining. Always like seeing you in here. Oh, and he's a fan of you, I remember.
Oh, yeah. Aren't they all?
The KFP is the colonel.
This one's good. Oh, the colonel of the Atom Army.
Yeah, that's right.
Even though they still prefer you to me.
Well, KFP does.
Yeah.
My favorite is middle left because that's George, and a monkey eating lunch together. There's 2 Georges in there.
I like how close he is with the monkey in all of them. Like in the top left, so they're shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah, it looks like that. You know, it's probably from Dunstan Checks In. He's in. Oh no, Wayne Knight's in that movie.
I like in the middle right one. like they both look pretty serious. Like they're just sitting there eating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
So we need to talk about this.
Yeah.
All right.
I imagine they're sitting across from Jerry and his squirrel monkey.
Let's do photorealistic Dilbert. We'll get that cooking.
All right, we're working on it. I don't know, this one needs no explanation.
Self-explanatory.
This one's perfect because it looks like an actual photo, every single one.
Some might say you can see this every week on Obi-Wan.
Nice.
Some might say that.
Not us, because we don't say anything negative.
So we got one.
I like the one where he's in the toilet being quiet like that.
Yeah. We've got one left here.
No, I did. To Darth Vader birthday party. He's holding the kid in the bottom left.
Yeah. These are good. Photorealistic Dilbert is in process.
I do. So to Ode, who suggested us filming stuff, at some point, I do want to create something, a movie. I was going to start describing, something with a story. And I'm like, I guess what I'm describing is a movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a thought recently where I keep throwing out all these, well, I think Better Call Saul does this great, or the reason I don't like this other show is for this reason. And I keep throwing out all these critiques and explanations. And I started to think, like, am I being consistent? Like, if I made a big list of everything I've said about all these different movies and shows, does it come together into some kind of comprehensive theory that at least aligns with my taste for why I like certain things or don't like certain things? So I've started to do that, of try to put all this together. Kind of like people are trying
to guess. Does it involve a spreadsheet?
Yes, it does. I've tried to, it's like scientists are trying to find the theory of everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing that for movies. So, if I finish this spreadsheet, I won't be able to tell you all what's in it, because that would be like being able to tell the future and not just using it to make a bunch of money off stocks.
Right.
Like, if we crack the code, we have to use it to make the perfect movie.
And just make as much money as possible, and that's it.
Yeah, I think Disney may have.
I think they already did that.
Yeah, there was that one episode of The Mandalorian. Without commenting on the quality of that show overall, there was at least one episode that to me felt like it was
the heist episode. Right?
Yeah, episode. Yeah, I remember episode
not
6,
heist, the prison break.
The prison break
it
episode.
Felt like, okay, you took the same tool we're using to make these funny pictures, and you typed episode about Mandalorian trying to break someone out of prison.
Right.
And basically every possible trope that you could come up with was just like thrown into a bucket.
You son of a bitch, I'm in.
Yeah, exactly.
It felt designed by an artificial intelligence.
And then, of course, like, someone irrationally dislikes the Mandalorian in the group at the beginning for no reason. So, shocker. And don't worry, I'm going to spoil it, but who cares?
Yeah, I don't think
they betray him. They betray him in the end.
Well, and there has to be a female character where there's hints of a past, but she's angry at him.
Yeah. But she's also like very flirtatious with him at the same time.
Yeah. Photorealistic Dilbert, by we've got it here.
Nightmare.
Actually came out pretty great.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny. The idea of something innocuous becoming a nightmare made me think of this, but Winnie the Pooh, he's left. He's now in the public domain as of a few months ago, I think. So there is
so we can do all kinds of Winnie the Pooh content now.
That's right. And someone's already jumped on it. So they're coming out with a horror movie of a serial killer Winnie the Pooh, and his like piglets in it, and he's like a cannibal or something.
I have to say, photorealistic Dilbert is pretty good.
I also ran the same one, so we'll have double the.
Oh, cool.
Okay, great. All right,
we're just gonna wait for Dilbert now. I mean, are you making progress in this theory of everything? Like, is there anything any direction you think it's heading in?
No, yeah. So basically, I think at any point when you're watching a show or a movie, you can sense how engaged you are, and you can ask yourself, why am I engaged right now? And there are many tools in storytelling that will get you to care in a moment,
like an explosion,
right? But you can't have explosions every second. So you have this big box of tools, and you have to use a diverse set of tools to constantly keep the audience's attention.
Do you remember when in The Office, when Michael Scott writes that movie Threat Level Midnight?
Yeah.
or no, not that. When he's in the improv class and he just keeps trying to introduce a gun into every scene.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Apolok asks, do you have any spreadsheet tips?
Don't get started.
Yes.
Yes, I do. I have a 90-minute video for you. I think 7 Excel tips that will blow your mind. Just go into just go click on our channel and just look at our previous videos. There's a pretty recent one. And you'll see some of my best Excel tips in there. It's not even a joke.
Yeah, this is real.
Yeah.
And people keep watching it and being like writing comments about how helpful it was.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
I'm ready.
All right. Photorealistic Dilbert. Hey.
That bottom right one is pretty great.
The top right one is weird. It looks like they forgot to put the eyeballs in.
You by the way, asks, which version do you prefer, the original 1968 version of Night of the Living Dead or the 1990 remake? And I'm going to guess why Yumi asked this. I think our discussion of public domain made me think of this because that movie infamously is in the public domain because some dope, probably Daniel, forgot to put the copyright symbol on the movie, which I think back in the day was enough to say, well, sorry, it's not copyrighted.
That's pretty dumb, like that it mattered.
So that there's plenty of remakes, remasters, all kinds of releases of that movie. Yumi, I haven't seen the remake. It's just one of those things where I like the original and I just haven't felt compelled to watch a remake of it. But should I, Yumi? Is there something valuable in that movie that I should watch it?
I like the original too.
Nice.
Yeah.
George Romero actually, before he passed, was working on his final zombie work. I mean, he's done a ton of these movies. I think there are 6 in the Of the Dead series, maybe even 7. But he wrote a book called, I think, Twilight of the Dead, this epic novel about...
It's like a romance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like werewolves and vampires. But he was writing it. He passed away before he could finish it. So his estate got someone to finish the book. And while he was working on finishing the book, in the middle of the process, they discovered a bunch more pages that George Romero had written. So he's like, well, crap, now we need to throw out everything I wrote and reintegrate this other piece we didn't know he wrote.
All right, let's say you're in your 80s.
Mm-hmm.
You're a famous filmmaker, and you're working on something that you might leave this earth before it's done.
Is this about...
Wouldn't you like tell them like this is where I kept it? It's you know.
Is this about George R.R. Martin?
Oh no, actually, I wish you didn't remind me of him. No, but like the fact that they could just stumble on a bunch more stuff that he's written. Why wouldn't you say this is where I keep all my creative ideas and writings in case you want to adapt them?
Well, some people write stuff they don't want everyone else to see.
Well, then they should have left it alone, right?
Yeah, you're right. KFP asks, did I start Night Sky? That's a new show on Amazon Prime, Adam. Sci-fi that has give me a picture of the Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, J.K. Simmons.
J.K. Simmons. I believe he's in that. KFP, technically I did start it. I watched the first 1.5 minutes. I liked what I saw. There's really no good reason why I stopped. I think I was just in the middle of something else. I intend to come back to that show.
I cannot think of a single Amazon Prime show that I've watched in its entirety.
Yeah, me neither. Even The Expanse, I didn't finish it yet.
We watched all of season 1 of Upload, didn't we?
Yeah, but there's another season.
Season 2 is out. Yeah. Invincible. I enjoy that show.
A great show.
That's probably the best Amazon Prime show.
Yeah, and we have not stopped watching it. When it comes back for season 2, we will be watching. Yeah. So, and you said you have another photorealistic Dilbert, right?
Yes.
Let's see what that one looks like.
Very similar.
Oh, yeah.
I like the one at the bottom in the middle.
Yeah, it's my favorite.
It looks like the other one middle bottom, but more like flip back to the previous one and just keep your eye in the bottom middle.
Yeah, the eyes are very
do it again.
Bulging.
It just looks like that one, but more.
And then the top, I think each square has like some similarities.
Yeah, with the top right is similar.
Look at the middle one to the right. This is fun. I like these.
Yeah, and Apolok says Outer Range was pretty good. That's the problem nowadays, though, is pretty good. It's not
good enough
anymore.
In a world with Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad.
Yeah, especially now that
in a world with OneTake podcast.
Well, what I was going to say is with OneTake, where basically if I don't have a lot of leisure time. Basically, at any time I have free time, I'm investing in the channel and working on stuff. So if I'm going to take time to watch something, it either has to be something I'm probably going to talk about on the channel, or just something that's so good I have to watch it. In which case I probably would talk about it on the channel. So yeah, Outer Range, if it's just pretty good, I just don't know if I'm going to watch it. Me. I love both versions, classic and iconic. But the 1990 remake is directed by horror makeup legend Tom Savini, and it's very good. Highly recommended. All right.
I'll check it out. I love zombie movies.
All right. After this, we're going to go watch it.
Nah, it's a little
No,
late.
you're right. It's too late. All right. Anything else to bring up before we start to wrap up?
No, I think I'm interested in doing more AI stuff, playing with more AI.
Yeah.
We talked about comics. I would love to talk about comics again.
Yeah, that's the great thing with the OneTake podcast, which I guess technically this is an episode of the OneTake podcast, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. It'll be posted on the feed. Oh, Jay Willix brings up the fact that I did not give a fun fact today.
I
Well,
believe it's just Wilkes.
I don't know why I keep saying Willick, but the Stanley Kubrick story, that was supposed to be the fun fact because I have that giant magazine. It's a really big magazine. If I showed it to you, it's like that big.
It's like a periodical.
So if I showed that to you, it would have been really fun. And this was going to be my other fun fact.
I would say
yeah, that one has to be saved. Yeah. Okay, FP asks, you have a comic podcast, right?
Oh, that's a deep cut right there.
Yeah, that's a true fan because we had a podcast called Gil Reads Comics, which we did kind of a special episode of it on the OneTake podcast with Daniel. Yeah, we did 25 episodes of that. So
and the premise was Gil would tell me about an issue of a comic that I hadn't read. Although sometimes I did also read it.
Yeah, at a certain point we changed the format where you would also read it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I would just tell him the story and he would react to it. Like I would often lie. I'd be like, and then Batman died. He'd be like, what? I'd be like, no, not really.
Yeah. That was us getting our footing before we became celebrities.
That's right. I think it's still out there. If you search Gil Reads Comics, I'm not sure. That's your fun fact, Jay Wilkes.
Yeah.
There you go.
We recorded like 40 hours worth of content talking about comics that we would not have read really if not for doing a show about them.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
I love comics, but to try and jump into mainstream comics today, like you pick up, it's not like, okay, what's the current issue of Batman? It's like it's up to over 1,000 issues. Plus there's Batman, there's the Dark Knight, there's Batman and Robin, and they all intertwine with each other. It's very hard to follow. Lieutenant Dirk, favorite Kubrick movie? I don't know if I could pick one. I mean, I love them all for different reasons. I love The Shining, love 2001. Now I'm just listing Stanley Kubrick movies.
Yeah.
I'll say the one that affected me emotionally the most would be Paths of Glory. So I'm not saying it's my favorite,
but a really good one.
Yeah, if you want to be moved very powerfully, watch One Taste. And if you want to be moved but not quite as much, watch, what was it called?
Paths of Glory.
Paths of Glory.
The movie that you just said you loved.
Yeah, KFP says AI. Stanley Kubrick was supposed to direct AI. And I believe he actually, what I always thought was that he passed away before he could make it. So Spielberg took over. But I think Kubrick actually handed it off to Spielberg. He thought he would be a better fit for the movie, if I remember correctly. I'll have to buy a special magazine off eBay and find the one issue where Kubrick talked about it. And Rizzo asks, have you had a chance to discuss Raised by Wolves cancellation? Yes. Well, that's the problem with live.
KFP can be like our publicist kind of or our press relate. Like you can direct your questions toward KFP because
KFP he'll tell you.
Yeah.
Here, short version. Why'd they have to cancel it? But at the same time, I can see why season 2 wasn't as accessible as season 1. They might bring it back on a different streaming network. To be honest, I don't know how likely that is, but it could happen. Hopefully,
Amazon Prime maybe.
All right. With that, let's wrap it up. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more. But But if you want even more,
we have to remember to bring this back with us.
Yeah, that's right. Click the link in the description to get over to the OneTake podcast channel, where we do, in addition to this, we do an episode every week. We try.
No, we're pretty good about it.
Last week, we did a deep dive into Wilder Napalm, Vince Gilligan's first movie ever. What was he like before Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul? Find out. And of course, in that episode, we also debuted our first episode of One Taste.
Watch One Taste. You will not be disappointed.
If you
have
do
to watch
nothing
it visually,
else.
look at the theme song and the intro. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I see Adam all the time. He's watching a YouTube video, but background play. He's not looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to look at this one. All right? Okay.
Yumi, thank you for your kind words.
Yeah, thank you, Yumi. Yeah. You know, Adam's not the only one on the show. So, you know, Jay Wilkes says that this week on the podcast, we're covering Ernest Goes to Camp.
We did talk about Ernest recently.
We are not talking about that this week, but I will say I got really nostalgic for Ernest after last week's episode. So maybe some Ernest talk in the future. I think this week it's retro video games. And then I think the week after this one, which colloquially we would call next week, I think we'll be talking. I think we'll be talking about Blade Runner to commemorate the 40th anniversary. Okay. With that, thank you for watching, and
see you
on the next
One Take.